In progress.
Usually do multiple videos in the same content creator, but this guy, Gamer, is particularly egregious. And one of the guys in the comment section, Toby Locke, was good enough to point out how his wife, his girlfriend here, chose him because he was going to become a doctor. And so he was good enough to put it in here for me. And thank you, Toby Locke. And this will show you that this young lady chose him for that reason, for his status. Let's hear. It's just a minute in. I know it's a long video, but it's actually only the first minute and a half.
And I don't know, he was like a junior in college. I was just starting, and yeah, we just kind of hung out all through college. And then he was trying to get into med school, and that was, going to be a harder process given his grades. And we kind of stuck it out. I was starting to work for a startup in Austin. He moved to Boston. You guys know this story, right? He basically just moved to Boston, started knocking on doors, eventually landed something pretty great. And then we were long distance for 2 years. Then I moved to New York when the startup I was working on got acquired. And then we were Boston to New York long distance. We got engaged. We got engaged when he got into medical school, because that was my condition. I was like, you gotta know what your life is about.
You got to know what your life is about. That's woman speak for you have to have status. You have to have money and high rank. That's what she said. All you guys who think women have some kind of depth to their mate selection, you are wrong. It's far shallower than men. This woman, she might have liked this guy or kind of fond of him, but she wasn't going to make any permanent connection unless he was willing to bribe her, if he had enough to bribe her with. That's what's gone on here. That's why she was hanging around, because she saw his status potential. And if he decided to remain a monk or whatever else, she would have ditched him. That's a fact. Thank you, Toby Locke. Now, I can address this guy's Healthy Gamer's response to "I am too ugly for a girlfriend," because we'll see if Healthy Gamer will admit that if this guy wants to get a girlfriend, all he has to do is become a doctor, gain status. And by the way, what's he doing here? Is he a full-time doctor? No, these guys don't want to work for a living any more than the rest of us do. That's why he's online shilling for an easy life on YouTube. But of course, she's all right with that because it's still status. So let's see what he has to say.
Right. So as you let go of that stuff and you start focusing on yourself, as you start just allowing yourself to be this human that you are, instead
focusing on yourself, be this human. You mean like you, when you were going to be a monk, and then the girl came along, you realized, no, I have to become a doctor. That's focusing on yourself, getting a title.
Instead of failing to be that which you want to be, people find that attractive. That's the huge paradox.
Did you want to be a doctor? If you did, how come you're here on YouTube?
All right, so posted by Machine Gun Wizard.
What if you love just gaming and spending all afternoon doing nothing?
I believe I'm going to be a virgin for life because I'm ugly. Every incel says this, but I think I'm the exception, and it's true. I know how egoistic and pitiful that sentence reads at first glance, but I think it's true.
How's it egoistic? Mentioning the reality of life for yourself is not. So this guy himself is basically saying, all those other guys who claim this is true, they're lying, but I'm the special guy. I suppose that's the ego part of it, which shows you why I don't like incels, guys who carry the label, because they are just as male hostile, even though they're in that position.
I have a lazy eye and a crooked nose. I was born with it, and without success have never been able to get past a first date. I'm 26 and every year I lose hope more and more. I know there's things I could do to improve my chances. I'm overweight, 5'11" and 273 pounds, but I can't find the motivation to do it because I don't think it would make a difference. I know Dr. K talks frequently about how incel mindset is a delusion, but most of the people he talks to aren't as ugly as they believe they are.
It's not a delusion, though. Women do deselect men. You think if it was a delusion, men wouldn't be in the position that they're in? Doctor here, he was an incel until he became a doctor. So it's not a delusion.
Conventionally ugly. I'm deformed and I don't ever feel any attraction from women I'm around and been friends with. Besides, even if I did magically wake up tomorrow a new man with a new face, I'm so broken from years of rejection and so romantically stunted from years of no success that even if I could, I'd be so behind I wouldn't know what to do or read body language.
This guy, when my last video concerning him, he was talking about women, that you should just listen to women and you should just believe them, right? So this guy is explaining how he's been damaged by years of rejection. That is his personal experience. So is Dr. K here going to ignore his personal experiences? I bet he is when it comes to the guys.
I'm always just going to be the 26-plus-year-old virgin even if I did get laid. I'm branded. Being so late to the game makes me feel like I'm branded a virgin loser for life. I usually don't think about it, but lately it's been rough. I've been thinking about suicide here and there, and sometimes I feel close to it, but I don't want to live my whole life alone. I'm not looking for advice, I just need to vent because I can't talk to any of my friends, and I don't want them to see how much of a depressed loser I am. I would rather have been born looking literally like anyone else than this. Thanks for reading, and I hope you all had a lovely New Year. Okay?
But he's a typical guy. He places everything around getting the girl. Just like this guy. He got his girl by gaining his status.
So let's upvote this. All right. So
let's see what we got here.
Sometimes when people feel like they're going to be alone forever, they feel like they're ugly, or they feel like objectively
he doesn't feel like he's ugly. He is physically ugly. That's a fact. So of course this guy is framing what he's saying is false. He's giving a false framework.
they have like no shot, right? And they can even acknowledge that if I got into shape, if I changed my mindset, like all that stuff, like I understand.
See, he's talking about mindset. His mindset isn't keeping him back. His mindset is the way it is because he's had years of rejection. So he didn't start off with that mindset, did he? So the mindset built. So it's not the mindset holding him back. So this guy is victim blaming. This is the first thing these anti-male shysters do. They victim blame.
Understand that technically that improves my chances, but I'm so far beyond help that objectively I'm screwed. And the truth is, like, I know it's going to sound kind of bizarre, but I'm inclined to agree with that person, right? So this is where we have to be kind of careful here for a second. So what some people may say in response to this is you're entitled to your feelings, right? You're entitled to feel that way.
Entitled to feel that way. He is objectively ugly. But beyond that, his experiences have proven that the girls don't like him. So you would have to go back in time and take a look at what women rejecting him and saying somehow that's untrue.
Like, it's okay to feel like you're screwed. And I want y'all to think a little bit for a second. If I were to respond to this person and say, you're entitled to your feelings, is that validating or invalidating? What does that actually mean?
Well, it means you don't believe him when you say you're entitled to your feelings. So his factual experiences of life is not good enough for you because you don't like the idea of what he's telling you.
What do y'all think? If I were to tell this person you're entitled to your feelings, right? What are we actually telling this person? What's the signal that we send to this person if we say you're entitled to your feelings? So it's kind of tricky because for a lot of people, if you say you're entitled to your feelings, what you're sort of telling.
What do you mean tricky? In other words, he wants to say it to this guy. There's no tricky to this. It either is or isn't. So he wants to say you're entitled to your feelings and you are wrong, but he can't because then this guy would reject all his bullshit psychology.
Telling him is like, it's just all in your head, right? These are just your feelings. It's not real. It's just like all in your head. Like, oh, it's like, oh, you feel hurt? Oh, you're like, it's valid that you feel hurt.
No, if some woman came to him and started going on about the same thing, he would not place it in this kind of framework at all. He would be most likely to say something like, men don't recognize what a great person you are. He wouldn't victim blame like he is this guy.
Doesn't mean that you are hurt.
What?
But you're allowed to feel that way. So there's something really interesting going on, which is that I've noticed that people are starting to use the language of entitlement to feelings as a way to invalidate people's experiences, right?
Okay, so we admit that you can't invalidate this man's experiences. That's good. That's a step in the right direction. So now you have to admit that women have shallow mate selection. His girlfriend, here, let me show you guys something. His girlfriend is a better looking woman than he is a guy. So you might think that women have, more depth to their mate selection, but they don't. This woman selected him for his status, not him in any way. It's more shallow. Men's desire for beauty would at least produce a healthy child. Women's desire for a man who simply has money to take care of her, it's not about the children, remember that, doesn't produce good children. So this woman could see a good-looking man who's broke and produce healthy children, and she sees an average-looking guy with status, so she'll produce children with him. Because, again, women don't care about the children. Their mate selection has nothing to do with children. It has to deal with, will they be taken care of? So you got to understand that.
It's kind of weird. So let's just try to, so we're going to try to, I know it's kind of weird, but I'm sort of inclined to kind of agree with this person. Now, I don't think that
This is a long video. I'll skip ahead.
And at the same time, I don't think things are quite as hopeless. I think the situation is as you describe it. And I do not agree with your conclusion. I'll agree with your premise.
Wow. So this is his snake oil way of saying, no, your experiences don't count. I'll agree with your premise, but not your conclusion. Okay. He's right about the conclusion in the way that if he turns around and says, get status and the girls will come after you, then he's right. He will not say this in this video. I guarantee you that.
Because in a lot of these situations, what people will do is they'll like dispute the premise. Oh, it's like actually not that bad. And we kind of see this in this post as well, where he kind of says, I know Dr. K talks frequently about how the incel mindset is a delusion. So I wouldn't start by saying that this person is delusional, right? I don't think they're actually delusional.
Well, you may as well say it because you don't agree with his conclusion. Okay, let's get ahead. Let's see. Overview of mindset. Okay, what we got here? Getting overwhelmed with solutions. Now, this is bullshit. Let's hear this.
So the more things you can do to improve your life, the more overwhelmed you are, the more solutions you have. So people think that you're hopeless because you lack solutions. But the truth is that the most hopeless people have the most solutions. There's like way too much stuff to do. It's not actually that you're hopeless because you lack solutions. It's because you're hopeless because you're overwhelmed. And then you're like, get into the procrastination mode. You guys get this? The close.
Oh, I see. So he's so overwhelmed that he just doesn't go for it.
Closest thing to this person's psychology is someone who's a chronic procrastinator. Because there's a lot that they can do, but it's just too much to handle. And so they're almost like, I want y'all to
Really? So let's see what he says they could do.
think about this as like a procrastination problem as opposed to like a no solutions problem, because there's actually tons of solutions.
Yeah, okay.
You can like, read books about dating. You can work on your self-confidence. You can like, focus on yourself.
Wow, okay. Go to the gym. Okay, finally he admits, get in shape. In other words, get good looking. But Dr. K, you're not a particularly good looking guy. Your woman chose you because you became a doctor. Okay. Go to therapist. What is the therapist going to tell him? Is the therapist going to fix his face? And this is the two things you guys have to realize. One, if he's honest with this guy, first, he's admitting that he's a waste of time. You don't go to a therapist, you go to a plastic surgeon. But two, which is more important to me, the reason he can't say go to a plastic surgeon is because then he would have to admit that women's mate selection is shallow. And he will never admit to that. Because look what you say, surgery, lazy eye, surgery. Yeah, so these are physical. So who needs you? This guy shouldn't be talking to Dr. Philip. Why would you go to a therapist if you can fix the problem with surgery?
You can become confident. Work on your
Confidence is the bullshit biggest part. He's got the cart before the horse. Success breeds confidence. Confidence doesn't breed success. So this is pickup artistry that this guy's saying.
confidence, right? Like these are all the things that you can do, but why don't you do them? It's because it's too overwhelming.
So this guy went years of rejection. So that means he was confidently at the beginning hitting on girls and then they would reject him. So confidence didn't do anything for him. Know what did work for this guy? He got himself a high status job to bribe his woman.
Now let's try to understand what does that mean, overwhelming? Like, how does that work in our brain? So our brain is very good at making calculations. And it's like really good at figuring out what is worth doing and what is not worth doing, right? So like, I'm not going to go outside and like hunt for ducks because my brain knows that my likelihood of being able to hunt for ducks.
Oh my God, this is gibberish. He's not overwhelmed. Basically, you've mentioned a couple things. Go to surgery and get yourself in shape. Beautify yourself. That's basically what he's saying. Therapist doesn't mean anything. And confidence is bullshit. So this guy's not overwhelmed at all. He just has to be brave enough to get surgery, according to you. Okay. Okay, so this guy is stuck. This is the bad thing he will do, according to Dr. K here.
Right? And then we procrastinate. Then we go back to our coping mechanism. Okay, so like this is too much. So what am I going to do? Play games. Woo! Pornography. Woo! Here we go.
Okay, so this guy is demonizing gameplay and pornography, outlets for men. Dr. J, this guy admitted that he was heavy into games. Why was he into games? Because he loved playing them. He considered himself addicted to them. But why were they? Because games are exciting and makes sense that you enjoyed them. And Dr. K, you think married men aren't watching pornography? I have a video showing how the men were lucky to get sex with their wives once a month. I guarantee you married men are watching pornography. So basically what he's really saying here is everyone is when you play games and you watch pornography, you aren't chasing status. That's how he got his girl. He chased status. If you watch that clip, she was saying he was going to be a monk for a while. Why did he choose a spiritual path, then drop it as soon as the girl showed up? Because a lot of these guys who choose spiritual paths are really looking for ways to gain status. And they drop it. They drop a spiritual path for the girl. So, I mean, this is incredible. Play games for others, that's bad. There you go. This is the healthy gamer. Don't play games. All right. This anecdote is important. This will show it.
So when I started residency, I got married my first year, towards the end of my first year of medical school. So when I started residency, so I'm a doctor, I'm working in a hospital. And I kind of noticed something weird. So when I was growing up, I didn't get any female attention.
Right. Because you had no status. You were a nobody, like this guy here. This guy is, even though he's ugly, he was a nobody. And so the girls didn't want him, just like you.
In college, I tried to get some female attention and it went horribly.
Yeah, because you were just a low status student in college.
And then even in my middle years, I had a girlfriend who was awesome and stuff, and that was great. But kind of the couple years before medical school, it wasn't like I was getting, I wasn't talking to girls, or girls didn't seem that interested in me.
Yeah.
And then, I got married. And then during med school, then I didn't have to worry about any of that crap.
But you couldn't get married, according to your girlfriend or your wife, until you promised to go to med school. So what your experience does not map onto this guy's experience. You would have to tell this guy, don't worry, get a high status job. And the girls will come flocking.
Crap anymore. And so I got married, and I had this woman that I loved, and we were happy. And so I started, doing things just for the sake of doing them. I wasn't worried about any of that other crap. I wasn't trying to look for a girlfriend. I wasn't flirting. So if I met a girl in school, I didn't care if she was pretty. I didn't care if she was ugly. I didn't care if she was single. I didn't care about any of that crap. I don't care. It's just I'm going to interact with this person based on the circumstances of our interaction. And then something magical happened. I started becoming a warm and pleasant human being.
Oh, I see. So when this is what he's saying, guys. If you're a guy who's trying to get with a girl, you're not a pleasant and warm human being. A human being, according to him, doesn't want female company. Or let's say he doesn't want anything from a woman. He wants to be a complete servant. He just wants to be nice to them. And if they are the ones that hit on you, then you give them sex. That's what he's saying here.
And then I go to the hospital, and then there's a lot of people at the hospital, right? And so I'm interacting with people, and I tend to be kind of warm and funny and upbeat and stuff like that. And then I kind of noticed.
So if you want to get into a girl's pants, why can't you just interact with them? Are the PUAs wrong, or the pickup artists wrong?
I started getting female attention. And I was kind of confused by that because I had never had really female attention before.
You were becoming a doctor, genius. And that's why they paid attention to you.
I still think to this day that, the girlfriend thing and the wife thing was a fluke. It was just a one-off.
No, it wasn't a fluke. You went to medical school. So this is how brain dead this guy is. Can you imagine guys going to this guy for therapy? Allowing yourself to be your best self. Okay, this is more bullshit coming.
Right. I don't think I guess I did some things good, but. And so then I started to realize why is this happening? And it's just I'm allowing myself to, be my.
Because you're in medical school and the girls could see you were going to become a doctor.
Best self. I'm just being my best self. And I'm not worried about dating anyone. I'm not worried about getting into anyone's pants. So
wanting to get into a woman's pants or dating someone is not being your best self. So guys wanting that is bad. So why did you get married then? If that getting married is getting together with a woman and getting into her pants. So can you see the non-logic to this, like the continual contradictions of this guy?
Like, you know, if I see someone and I like someone's shirt, like I can compliment like a nurse on her shirt. I'll be like, that shirt looks, I mean, you don't do that. It's a stupid example.
I could compliment her on her shirt. Oh, you don't do that. That is something we low status, no value men should ever do. You see how screwed he is, how he doesn't know how to approach this. He wants to compliment the girl, but being a guy who's so beneath women, complimenting them is a no-no. This guy is damaged property. He needs therapy.
Because they all wear scrubs. But, you know, you can just compliment someone. You can say, hey, like, you know, looks like you got a haircut. Looks fantastic. You can say that. So you just be a nice human being. And as you start being a nice human being and you get the fuck out of your own head, because that's an important part, right? Like you start attending to other people.
Okay, he's talking
like
about confidence. This is bullshit. We already debunked the confidence horseshit. Nope, sorry, this is important. Let's hear what he has to say.
And the funny thing is that by focusing on yourself, by focusing on being a decent human being and not worrying about dating anyone, I was like, found a ridiculous amount of like female attention, which I had never experienced before. And then I was confused.
Yeah, it sounds like big toe and pickup artists. It sounds like pickup artistry. You know, if you just stop caring, the girls will come after you.
And I was like, this is because I'm a doctor, because the doctor probably has something to do with it. But it's
he admitted it. Yeah, you're a doctor and it had everything to do with it. So that's all we need from that garbage. He admits it, guys. He was a doctor, so there's not much to say beyond that. Okay, now this is some useless advice.
This life that will give me some shred of happiness. What can I take some pride in? What can I do for myself that'll like do something for me? Like, I don't know, maybe 5 years from now I'm going to commit suicide, but people are going to be able to lift the casket because I ain't going to.
So you're going to be so depressed you're going to kill yourself, but at least you did something for somebody else. Wow, that's quite a problem solver.
Be overweight when they put me in the ground. Right? Like, I know it's kind of morbid, but I'm serious. Like, there are things that you can take pride in this life. Right? Even if you're single, like there are things that you can do. You could try to be a better human being for other people.
If being a better human being is so good, why did you get married? Why did you bother? Why didn't you say, hey, I don't need to get married to this woman. I don't need this woman in this life. I, Dr. K, have found out being a better person is its own reward. Why didn't you do that?
You can feel less broken. You can like be happy with what you see when you look in the mirror. Like even if you're broken on the inside, you can take pride in what you see when you look in the mirror every day. And that could mean surgery for your nose. It could mean losing weight. Even if you're unhappy with what you see when you look in the mirror, you can be happy with what you're.
Why would he do all that? Why wouldn't he just play games and enjoy pornography? The things you were suggesting are what he was thinking to get the girl. So if you're saying, why bother get the girl? Why would he bother with this kind of things? Why, especially surgery? I agree that getting in good shape so that your health you'll feel better, but there's no point in getting surgery done. Just be yourself, bro. But like I say, he could just play games and enjoy pornography and really get into it. You know, something that when I stopped chasing Dr. K, these things increased for me because it's like, yeah, I have no shame about it anymore. And I'm not a broken person. If you want this guy to be, you're a psychologist, right? So you want him not to be internally broken. So your advice should be to enjoy games and pornography and stop feeling shame. That's what your advice should be.
Your body is capable of when you jump into the ocean. That you can swim for a long amount of time. You can feel amazing for climbing to the top of a mountain.
Notice the one thing he's not saying is go get a job that's high status, because that would defeat all these other things. I keep mentioning this in other videos, but Danny DeVito, when he was at the peak of his career, at the peak of his status, was voted one of the 100 sexiest man alive in a magazine. And Danny DeVito is not a good looking guy, and he's not even 5 feet tall. So this is all Dr. K has to admit, but he can't admit that without admitting that female sexual mate selection process is rock bottom. It's shallower than a puddle. And he is never going to do that, considering he's a female worshiper. Now, this is some sad shit here.
Because if it is, then I can understand why people feel suicidal. But the truth is there's more to life than relationships. There just is more to life than relationships.
Then why did you get into one? Why were you depressed until you got this girl into your life, and then finally you can say everything is good? You didn't get where you were because in your good headspace, because you took therapy, you got the girl. So who are you to say this to guys? If you want to say this to guys, be a single man and live your life and be the great human being that you claim that you are. Ditch your girlfriend, say, look, I'm wasting my time being married to you. Let me just be single and be the great human being that I am.
Right? If all life was relationships, everyone who is in a relationship would be perfectly happy.
Dude, you gave up being a monk to be with a woman. So you gave up your spiritual path. So if you're going to make that choice, what do you think every other guy's going to do?
And so if relationships are too hard to solve, then let it go and start fixing the other stuff. And when you're ready, a relationship will come. You'll be surprised. Like literally, it'll come to you.
Fixing the other stuff. He never mentioned again to get a high status job. So he's making this promise. He can't make this promise. He doesn't know what's going to happen. God. And pal, does this look like Dr. K lifts weight, or he's in great shape? Did he get facial surgery? No. So the one thing that would actually help this guy, he's not mentioning. I could go on this, but I am going to stop it here because you all know now that this guy is a shyster. He's a shill. He got his girl by becoming a doctor. And then he got online because he doesn't want to work like a dog, like the rest of us. And so now he's shilling with her on YouTube for an easy buck so he could keep her around. Notice she doesn't have a channel for herself. Like typical, wife leech, they wait for the man to build it up with his know-how and his effort, and then they just join on and get to have people praise them for being themselves. Anyway, so again, I'm going to say in this video, like I did last video, avoid this guy. This guy is toxic. He's the plague.